This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Alrighty, here we go. Time for the weekend review here on the WWE Podcast for this Saturday, September 28th, 2024. We've got Bad Blood coming up this week. We've got a lot of coverage here on the show. We've got our preview and prediction show coming up, which will duel as a mailbag show on Friday. So you're not going to want to miss that. That's going to be a lot of fun as we close out the build to Bad Blood and then look ahead to Crown Jewel, the beloved Crown Jewel event. It's coming to us on November 2nd. Yes, November 2nd from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Riyadh, I should say. And the Kingdom Arena. Oh, I can't speak tonight, guys. Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia is where Crown Jewel is taking place. So there is a PLE between Bad Blood and Survivor Series that is Crown Jewel. But to some, it still doesn't exist. And I understand why you feel that way. But if you care about such things, there is a PLE in between. So the Survivor Series War Games match, though, and the PLE itself, obviously, are really late this year. I mean, it's the last day of November. We're almost into December before we get War Games. So that's something to take note of, because that means War Games is 2 months away. It feels like, because we've been talking about it here on the show and others all over social media, other podcasts you probably listen to, wrestling podcasts anyway, are talking about Survivor Series and how Bloodline versus Bloodline. And it feels like we've been talking about this before Roman Reigns even returned, and we have. But now it feels like it should be next week, and it's 2 months away. If you want to be technical, over 2 months until the War Games match that we all anticipate being Bloodline versus Bloodline. So that is something to really take into your mind here and gain some perspective that we still have a good chunk of time before that event takes place, which, you know, may make sense that if Jey Uso wins the Intercontinental Championship, he could lose it before the War Games event. I hope he has a long title reign, but if they want to have a short one and have the Rogue Bloodline cost Jey Uso the match, whenever that does happen, you could do that. So we'll see. But let's talk about this week in WWE, and we'll do that in a moment. I'd like to welcome those who haven't joined us before. This is the WWE Podcast, the unofficial, right? We're not actually affiliated with WWE in any way, but pretty standard, simple name for the show. Still don't know how I got it, but I did. And we have ad-free everything available at Patreon, available at Apple Podcasts, available at Spotify. Everything ad-free is available to you. In fact, not a bad time to go ad-free, because it'll get you the entire build to Bad Blood and even the review show for Bad Blood and preview show of Bad Blood ad-free if you start your trial, 1 week trial now. Pretty good deal. And I'd invite you to do that. So, one last note. I'd like to get the housekeeping stuff out of the way. I was going to record a new podcast episode for my other podcast, which is called The War on Truth. I'm getting to it. There have been some other news coming out from a political and cultural perspective that I want to be able to talk about. And it seems like I'm getting a 1 episode per week schedule out, and that's what I'm trying to stick to. But those that have been looking for a episode on my new show called The War on Truth, I will be doing that in the next 24 hours, I promise. All right. So let's get into it. Let's get into Solo Sikoa's return, which I guess is one of the biggest talking points, among the fact that they keep teasing a heel turn from either Kevin Owens or Randy Orton. But Solo Sikoa did return, and the segment started with Corey Graves welcoming us to SmackDown, and then, we have Randy Orton come out. And he said it's been a minute, and he had to take care of some business on Raw, but he said he missed being in a SmackDown ring. Again, what's the difference between a Raw and SmackDown ring other than colors? The answer is Nothing. Zero. This loyalty to brands is nonsense because they switch brands at random with no explanation. They don't choose the brand. They're drafted there, so they suddenly have... I mean, it's just... Even under the Triple H regime, I have issues. However, he said that he had been in the business a long time and can count the number of people he can trust on one hand. And he even welcomed us to SmackDown. I know this is a sticking point that I just can't get over. The talent should not be welcoming us to the show like they're hosting the show. Okay. The announcers do that. I don't care if that's just what you do. No, the crowd knows where they are. No one's sitting there with a ticket in their hand going, oh my God, I really hope they tell me what show I went to. I have no idea what I just spent my money on. Can somebody please announce what show I'm at? No one's doing that. Okay. And it's just a take me out of the moment, constant error by WWE. I want to ask them why. And I know a lot of you, what are you talking about this so much? It's just right off the bat for every show we get, if it's a promo anyway, not if there's a match, but if there's a promo, no matter who it is, babyface heel, legendary heel legendary star like Randy Orton or somebody newer, they welcome us to Raw no matter what. And I don't know why they have this itch they need to scratch every single time, because it's unnecessary, to say the very least. And it's predictable, and it makes no sense given what the talent are there to do. They're not there to host the show. They're there to kick ass. They're there to win championships, settle scores. They're not there to be rah-rah for the company. At least they shouldn't be on air. All right, I said my piece. So those of you that want to write a negative review, I gave you some content. So Randy Orton did come out, though, and he said that he can only trust a few people. And Randy Orton said Cody Rhodes is one of those people. And he said that Cody's choice to partner with Reigns is disappointing and that it didn't sit right to him. And he said that he was hoping for an explanation and asked Cody to come to the ring to give it to him. Cody Rhodes came out and slapping hands and kissing babies and, doing what obnoxious politicians do in their suits and their well-mannered gestures and their speaking and their way that they move. And I won't go into too much negativity other than to say the Cody Rhodes character the disdain I have for it. I'm trying to choose words that aren't going to result in this getting an explicit mark on my podcast. The disdain I have for the babyface character is growing deeper. I'll leave it there. Okay, that's the most PG way I can say. However, he said perhaps he looked like a fool for teaming with Roman. And he questioned whether it was better to look like a fool or a coward. And then he said that Roman gave him his word and gave examples of Roman giving his word, such as doing whatever it took to keep the title and something else. I can't remember. I don't understand this. And what does he mean? What choice did he have here? Like, what was the choice between being a fool or a coward? What's the choice here? I don't understand. Okay, so he doesn't team with Reigns. How does that make him a coward? In fact, some would argue that makes him more brave because he's trying to take on the bloodline by himself, saying he doesn't need help. I don't understand that comparison. That analogy made no sense to me. There wasn't a choice there. There wasn't a singular choice of, well, what is he going to make? Is he going to look like a fool? Is he going to look like a coward? I didn't understand that. Maybe it's going over my head. But we have Cody going on to say that he would take him at his word and it was time for the bloodline to be killed. He said that he hoped with all sincerity it wouldn't be a problem for him, and Randy said it wouldn't be a problem at all, of course, unless he made it a problem. I'm very confused by this, and perhaps it's because my intelligence is decreasing. Some of you would say, yup, but I don't know, because this promo left me confused. Number one, why does Randy need to sign off on Cody Rhodes' decisions? Is Randy playing daddy? What? why does Cody need to answer to Randy at all? What's the end game here? And now, of course, it could be Randy turning heel, which we all hope, and RKOing Cody, which we all hope. But I don't understand that. That's number one. Why does he even care what Cody's doing? Shouldn't he worry about himself? Randy could go after the championship, or which is Cody Rhodes. He could be involved in another program, or maybe even chase the U.S. title if he really wanted to, right? Or he could go back to Raw and do stuff because they don't care about the brand split. So that was problem numero uno, being that Randy suddenly cares about the decisions and demands explanations. What? Is he Cody's keeper? Is he the warden? That was weird. Okay. Secondly, we have the fact that he said that that he would. Is he going to make it a problem? Right? He said Randy said it wouldn't be a problem unless he made it a problem. What was that supposed to mean? Is he saying that Cody could attack Randy? Well, why? Roman has no interest in attacking Randy. Cody, obviously, at this point yet, doesn't have an interest in attacking Randy. I don't understand this. Where are we going? I hope somebody in a voicemail goes, all right, man, I want to respond to you. You seem really confused by the opening promo on SmackDown. Let me break it down for you. But if you do, here's what I want you to do. I want you to break it down for me, because I'm sure I'll get one of these or an email, which is fine. I'm actually asking. I'm not trying to patronize anybody. I want you to explain it to me like I'm 12. Okay, because I feel like this is an unnecessarily complicated promo. Not that the language is complicated, the directions are scattered here. The motives of the wrestlers here are scattered. But let's continue. I promise there's some good stuff to talk about, okay? I promise. So, let's see. We got Kevin Owens coming out, and before he could speak, Solo comes out and said the three of them are standing in the ring, and that saves him a lot of trouble. And he demanded Oklahoma City. Okay, yeah. He goes up to the crowd. He said that he would acknowledge the fact that Roman gave Cody his word, and he said he never should trust him because he would need him, since those other two men in the ring could never get the job done. And Solo said the reason he would team up with Roman is because whenever he's tried to take out the bloodline with the other two, he's failed. Kevin Owens then said nobody cares what he has to say. He challenged Solo and Jacob Fatu to a tag team match, and Cody tried to make it a 6-man tag, but Kevin said no offense, but he already had a partner. It would just be him and Orton. Again, small tension growing that eventually would nearly boil over in the main event. So, okay, we get a tag team match, and yeah, somebody needs to turn. I don't care if it's Cody. I don't care if I'd love it to be Cody. Most likely it's Randy Orton, because if Kevin Owens turns heel, let me just say this. We've been there, done that with Cody, have we not? They already had their match. They could go a round 2 with Kevin Owens and Cody with now Kevin Owens full heel. And it would really be in line with Kevin Owens' character in the past of what he's done, turning on his partners, turning on his friends. That's what he's made his career out of. So it would be very much in concert with what he's done in the past. It would be very consistent. But Orton also has made a career out of sudden RKOs and turns. And sure, even if Randy Orton turns heel, the crowd is still going to love the RKO. But I also do wonder, and I brought this up on my previous show, is if they turn Randy, quote unquote, are the fans really going to turn on Randy? Or are they going to say, hallelujah? I have a sneaking suspicion that it won't be as successful with Randy as the heel in that scenario. It'll be a fun match, fun program. We know what kind of build we'll get. It'll be a lot of fun because of their history with Legacy and just their history in general and their promos. It'll be great. But I do wonder how successful they'll be, generally speaking, with getting people to boo Randy Orton. Because people love Randy in a heel role. He's a legacy star. And is still somehow in his prime 20 years later. It's incredible. People, the RKO is beloved. And And people, I think, have a strong loyalty to Randy Orton. People literally grew up in their childhoods watching Randy Orton. I did. I mean, I wasn't out of the womb watching him. I was let's see, when was it? He first debuted in early 2000s. I was, 16, 17 years old when I first saw Randy Orton. I mean, so he's been with me the better part of my life. And I'm bringing that up to personalize it because a lot of people look at wrestling, if you're long-term fans, as part of your childhood. And I think that may deter a lot of fans, the older ones anyway, like myself, from really booing Randy Orton and getting behind Cody on this one. So we'll see. We'll see if they pull the trigger, but it's a risk. It's a risk. It's really surprising to me how the fans really haven't totally turned on Cody yet. If it wasn't for that damn music, which people have this response to, like this Pavlovian response of just, let's sing along and whoa and all the rest, all the pomp and circumstance and the fireworks and the posing and all the nonsense that goes with that entrance, which is, the song is catchy. It's very good. Perfect entrance song, perfect babyface entrance music. It is. But if it wasn't for that, I keep saying, I think it wouldn't be as successful for Cody. I think Cody would have more issues if his song sucked. But Naomi and Bayley in a number one contenders match for the WWE Women's Championship, I believe at Bad Blood. Good match here, 10 minutes long. Bayley at the end went for Bayley to belly, but Naomi avoided it and sent her face first into the turnbuckle. Naomi went up top but missed her attack, and then Bayley landed the Bayley to belly and a flying elbow for the victory. And after the match, Naomi was dejected, but she ended up patting Bayley on the back. And then she started from the ramp looking angry as Bayley celebrated, and video was then shown of LA Knight retaining his title. Okay. There's lots of rumors of heel turns and teases of heel turns. Xavier Woods turning on Kofi Kingston has not happened, but it might. We also, of course, have Randy Orton and or Kevin Owens turning on Cody, both of which I think should happen. And then we have now potentially Naomi turning heel. That was a small hint. I like these things, even if it honestly goes nowhere and they know purposefully it's a path to nowhere. It at least gets you thinking. So I'd love to see a heel Naomi. She's done exactly nothing since she returned at the Rumble last year. Exactly nothing, precisely. Nothing. She's had almost no promo time. She's had televised matches here and there. She's still got a great entrance. She's still good to very good in the ring. I don't think she's outstanding, but she's good to very good. And I think there's a run in her. And it'd also be able to give her a new coat of paint. Let fans see a different side of her that they haven't been able to see yet before she decides to call it a career. So we'll see. It's at least something you can hang your hat on and maybe look forward to with Naomi. I'm all for it. All right. Carmelo Hayes and Andrade. 17 minutes. Really good match. This ended with Hayes going up to the top rope and Andrade avoiding the collision. And then Andrade landed a twisting back elbow and Hayes fell out of the ring. Knight's music hits. He comes down, runs to the ring. Andrade tried to keep him from interfering, but Hayes shoved Andrade into Knight and rolled him up for the victory. And after the match, Hayes headed for the hills immediately, and Knight tried to offer Andrade a handshake, but he took off and refused. And then we got some video of the opening segment with Cody and Randy and all the rest. So I like this. I think Carmelo Hayes still is trying to find his identity. They don't know what to do with him yet. He's been positioned both as a heel and as a babyface, and they haven't really landed quite on what they're going to do with him. This week he was the babyface role, but at times he's acted like a total ignorant, pompous jerk, and the fans booed him. So yeah, I mean, they're testing the waters, trying to find where Carmelo fits in. We know he's very good in the ring, and he has a fairly established character and knows who and what he is, but the fans don't know yet, and they'll figure that out along the way. This isn't a complaint, by the way, to log my complaint if you guys are keeping score at home, this is not one in the column of complaints. This is one in the column of observation, but also compliment, because the fans continue to react to Carmelo, even if a lot of them didn't watch him in NXT. It also gives Andrade something to do. He's kind of in the same boat in a different way, that they haven't done much with him in character development anyway since he came back. And I'd like to see them do something with him other than have me call him Santos Escobar every week, which I keep doing that because they have the same hairstyle, Latino background. They wrestle this very similarly. So I keep calling Andrade Santos Escobar. So I did that for like 20 minutes last week or the week before, so my bad. But two guys, I think that you could get easily another match out of if you wanted. All right. And also the interference of LA Knight. Minor appearance by Knight, but it gives him two opponents, if they want to go that way, to work with. And Knight does need people to work with. I mean, he is still fresh in his U.S. title run. He's just getting going. It'd be nice to have him have some, log some really fun matches with opponents that probably aren't going to win, but you'll get a great match out of. That's what these two do and what they are. So sure, bring it on. I mean, even if it's a triple threat, we get a couple triple threats. We get a couple singles again with Santos, even though Santos, obviously he's faced LA Knight a couple times with Andrade and Carmelo. You could get a triple threat. If you want to throw Santos in there, you could do a fatal four-way, but I feel like we've been there, done that. So, all right, continuing on with SmackDown. Michin gets a victory, probably the biggest victory of her career, beating Piper Niven in 8.5 minutes. And it was a clean victory. Of course, Chelsea Green was involved, but she got knocked off the apron, and that's when Michin landed Eat Defeat, and Piper went down for the loss here. So after the match, we had the announce team plug a Michin versus Chelsea in a dumpster match next week. This is also where AJ Styles returned, right? So really cool video there. And yeah, AJ hasn't been on TV in a few months. So it'll be cool to have him back. I don't know in what role. You would think there is an excess of top baby faces right now. I mean, unless you're planning on having Randy or Kevin or both turn heel, you can't have AJ Styles also come back as a baby face unless the plan is to turn one of those three men heel, or four men, being Cody if you want to include him. But again, I don't think he's turning heel for at least another year, if they do it at all with Cody. I think the only way that WWE is going to turn Cody heel is if the fans will it to happen. It's the only way. Because WWE has no interest in turning Cody Rhodes heel. They're not touching it. They haven't really done much with his character at all, actually. Like, just objectively looking at it, besides my hatred for the character, stepping back and looking at it, they just haven't done much with it. It's the same poses, the same kinds of promos, the same suit-wearing guy. Like, they haven't done much. They just kind of have plateaued him. Even his programs thus far since winning at WrestleMania have been really kind of flat. Now, he's going to have good matches, but there's very little excitement in his matches because the outcome is extremely, extremely predictable. And it's not always a bad thing, but with this kind of victory, the significance of what it meant, and that essentially this victory of having Cody Rhodes beat Roman Reigns for the title, which he nearly had for 4 years, that was the face of the new era. That was the moment the new era really began and was rung in, was that moment of Cody beating Roman. All the tears and Samantha Irvin crying on the microphone and all the nonsense. But it was absolutely a significant moment, and you're not going to have that significant moment wiped away in just a few months. Really, not even after a year, I don't think. I mean, I'm not going to be talking about Cody Rhodes losing that title until WrestleMania 41 at the very bare minimum. So that kind of also undercuts his run, because you're looking at this and saying, well, yeah, okay, well, sure. Yeah, even if Randy turns, he's not going to win. He's legacy star, but not going to happen. Kevin Owens he's a perennial main event loser. And I mean that respectfully. I don't mean he's a loser as in a character, but he gets to the main event, challenge for the title, he's going to lose. Just by default. That's boo-hoo. That's part of his identity is that. So you could have AJ Styles. But AJ Styles is kind of in the same boat as Randy. Big legacy star. But beyond having a really good match, which he's obviously still very capable of, I believe, with AJ Styles, he's not in a position to carry that championship. Cody is. So, again, my point is, Cody Rhodes' run thus far, I think I can objectively say, has just been kind of lame, kind of boring, kind of meh. So, all right, the dumpster match next week should be fun, but let's continue. That's we'll see what happens there. Sikoa and Fatu versus Orton and Owens. This match went 15 minutes nearly, with Fatu and Solo beating Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. After, let's see, the finish here, Fatu tossing Cody under the rope from into the referee, which prevented him from making the cover. When Owens hit a stunner on Solo, Tongaloa and Tongaloa dragged Orton onto the outside, and then Fatu landed a series of super kicks, and Solo rolled on top of him to get the victory. And after the match, Owens shoved Cody and teased an argument, and Orton entered the ring and calmed things down, and everybody hugged it out. So, I don't even know why I comment on the quality of matches at this point with guys like this, because it's never an issue. The finish made sense, I guess, if you're trying to create the narrative that there's an issue between these three. And that nearly came to blows with Kevin Owens getting in the face of Cody Rhodes, and then Randy Orton comes in, and I'm thinking, all right, is Randy Orton going to hit a double RKO? Is Randy Orton going to, what's happening here? You were waiting for the RKO to get hit. You're waiting for Kevin Owens to snap. And nothing happened. I think they're waiting for that moment on a bigger stage, in a bigger moment. Hint, hint, maybe this Saturday at Bad Blood. Some food for thought. My official predictions are forthcoming. But this is fine. It's a fun way to end Raw. It gives you things to think about as a fan. And the what ifs. That's where we're at, the what ifs. We're still in the what if stage of a heel turn. But fun SmackDown. One that is significant in moving things forward, but I don't think is one that you're going to go, oh my God, I wish I was there. At least most people, I don't think. So over, excuse me, on the Monday Night Raw side of things, we got the Drew McIntyre promo, the response to the CM Punk promo last week, which was very dark, I'm going to lower my voice in 2 octaves and be very dark and serious. I can respect Punk's ability on the microphone. It's how he's made his living. That was extremely contrived 2 weeks ago. But this past week, Drew McIntyre kind of did the same thing, although Drew already has a naturally deeper voice than does Punk. So it didn't sound as weird when he was being a little bit more solemn. But, Drew McIntyre did what he needed to do, basically saying that, you're going to need to kill me too, and my wife and kids have begged me not to do this, and all the rest of it. And, I think it is something that is significant when you have they're talking about their family members begging them not to do a match, and I bet you there is a sliver of truth in that. I bet you there really is. That they are concerned, at least in reality. I'm sure they're concerned about the well-being of their husbands. It's a brutal match. Things happen. Especially at CM Punk's age and his fragility. Now, he did take a hell of a beating in the was it the Texas Bull Rope match? The strap match, rather, with Drew. And he came out seemingly unscathed. But the Hell in a Cell is a different animal. So the concern of the wives is actually pretty plausible. And as I said, probably a sliver of truth in that. All right, we continue to also get the rejection of Sami Zayn's proposal to challenge Gunther for the world title. I continue to love this. Gunther has rejected him 4 times in a row now. Comes out this week after Sami Zayn was in a match with Ludwig Kaiser, and he beats Kaiser. And he said he's had enough, and he's just, all the rest of it. And he's saying, I finally had enough. You want it? Well, my answer is no. And he leaves. It's great. Gunther is a professional troll. He is a professional wrestling troll. And that sounds like a derogatory, demeaning term. It's a compliment to the ability of Gunther to not just be a badass in ring, look the part, all the promo ability has skyrocketed, I think, but to understand how to troll the fans and do it in a way that, even if it's scripted, and obviously he's told to do this, that he executes so well. Now, that this coming week on Raw, Sami Zayn will find a way to coerce Adam Pearce or coerce Gunther himself into giving him a world title shot at Bad Blood. That's the story we're being led to, and that's the story that should be told. Do I think Sami Zayn should win? Hell no. Not a chance. No. The answer is a far and away nah, bruh. No, because Gunther also is just getting going as world champion, as the counterpart to Cody Rhodes. Obviously, Gunther in a much less prestigious spot. He was not the main event of WrestleMania. He is not being hailed as the face of the new era. So that said, Gunther is the workhorse champion. He's like the Intercontinental Champion of world champions. If that makes... No, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to even try to fool myself. But, Cody Rhodes... Gunther and Sammy are probably going to have a potential match of the night on their hands. Even more than Drew and Punk. And that's saying something. I'm not predicting it'll happen. I'm saying there's a possibility it could happen. Given the ability of these two, they've worked well together. They've worked on big stages together. The biggest stage possible they worked together on at WrestleMania 40 this past year with the Intercontinental title on the line. So I'm enjoying this. And when was the last time you had somebody outright reject another person's challenge 4 times in a row? I can't even recount it. I don't know, but I'm loving what the character of Gunther has become. All right, I'm not going to go through every detail here of every match. Let's move on here. Dragon Lee versus Carlito, with Dragon Lee beating Carlito in about 2.5 minutes. We had Strowman and Bronson Reed continue their destruction. Miz was destroyed as well. And I mean, it's just kind of the way it is. Miz is in a weird spot right now in his career. R-Truth has gone by the wayside, so the fun-loving R-Truth and Miz feeling has faded. And you're left with just the Miz, which is not a slight on the Miz, but that's where he's at. He's held his own for most of his career as a single star. I just don't know where you place him. Do you put the Miz in the Intercontinental title situation? I think that's a strong possibility with Jey Uso. That may not be the worst thing in the world. So, moving on here. Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman. I continue to love this. I don't know how much longer I'm going to say I love it before I say, okay, got it. This is fun, but, can we move on? I'm not there yet. But I'd imagine if after Bad Blood we're still doing this, that I'm going to start feeling that kind of way. We'll see. I think that there is still some to get left out of Strowman and Reed. These two still have a lot to give, but it's not a long-term story. Not meant to be. I don't want them to try to force it into one. All right, we got Io Sky and Kairi Sane versus Alba Fire and Isla Dawn this week, with Io Sky and Kairi Sane beating Alba Fire and Isla Dawn in just under 10 minutes. We had Julius Creed and Brutus Creed versus the New Day. And Julius and Brutus Creed, the Creed brothers, beat the New Day in 15 minutes. That also continues to frustrate Xavier Woods, and we'll see how long that bonding lasts. I don't think it's going to be too much longer before you'll see those two in Splitsville. They keep pushing the November 10-year anniversary of the New Day debuting. So I think and know that would be the perfect place to do it. There's no need to get cute about it and all that, but I would also anticipate Big E to make a cameo appearance at the November Big E or the November event, whenever that is. I got to find the exact date, but Big E should absolutely be there. Now, is he back for an in-ring capacity? I don't know. We'll find out maybe at that point too. We also had in the main event, Braun Breaker versus Jey Uso for the Intercontinental Championship. Shocker. I mean that genuinely. I had no plans for Jey Uso to win the title here. But as I've said in the past and others have said, you need to keep very much in mind the positioning of matches on the card, particularly for televised big main events like this. Because if they had done this in the middle of the show, which I thought they would do, I thought they would make the Intercontinental title like hour 2 main event or something. They didn't. They made it main event of the whole show, which I don't have a problem with at all. But it did signal to me and to others that if you're watching a while, you're like, well, that just increased the chances of something bigger happening here. And sure enough, they did. The match wasn't great. They didn't have a ton of time. It was fine. It was about the outcome, though, and Jey Uso getting the victory, and he'll have his victory speech this week, and he'll, just thank the fans and say it's about damn time, and it is. Jey Uso absolutely deserves a singles star run with the championship. He absolutely does. And perhaps they said, we got to pull the trigger now before he gets sucked back into the New Day or the Bloodline stuff. We got to give it to him now. Have a month or month and a half run, or we'll keep him with the belt. And then after the Bloodline story or match is over at Survivor Series, he'll go back to, regularly scheduled programming with the Intercontinental title on Raw. So I don't know what their plan is, but either way, they felt that pulling the trigger now was a better call. Now for Braun Breaker, I don't think he's going to be too damaged by this. He can come back next week with spear, which I anticipate him to do on Jey Uso. I don't think he's going to let this go. That's not what his character does. He'd be very inconsistent. So I think you're going to have Braun Breaker and Jey Uso part 2 with Jey defending the Intercontinental title against Braun Breaker. And it could be at Bad Blood, but likely not. Likely at a Raw after Bad Blood. So, again, big ending to the show. You heard the crowd pop for it, and I will say that it was deserving. You're not there very often for an Intercontinental title change, or that, for that matter, any title change. I mean, seeing a title change is a rare event. For most people. Most people haven't seen title changes on a Raw or SmackDown. Doesn't happen too often. Now, if you go to a PLE, you got a very high chance of at least one championship changing hands. When you go to a televised event like Raw or SmackDown or NXT, you're thinking, okay, there's some chance, but it's the positioning of the matches that make all the difference. The positioning of the matches kind of tell you, especially for the main event, where they might be going or what they're setting the stage to do. And in this case, we know what that was, and that's to make Jey Uso Intercontinental Champion. So that'll do it for me tonight, guys. I'll be back tomorrow with not this show, but my other show called The War on Truth. Subscribe if you haven't already there. It's the icon with the laptop with the American flag. That's me. So check us out if you are interested in such things. Again, it is not a wrestling-based show, okay? It is not wrestling-based. It's political and cultural in nature. So I can't say that enough, because sometimes people go there and they're like, oh, this isn't about wrestling. Yeah, that's because I do have other thoughts about things other than pro wrestling. It is a reality. I'm not just sitting here thinking about pro wrestling matches all day. In fact, most of my day is not that. So, yeah, but nonetheless, I'd encourage you to go check us out. I encourage you to go also ad-free at patreon.com/WWE podcast. And you can do that on get an ad-free experience. Also on Apple and on Spotify, both of which are available to pretty much anyone who wants to listen to this show. That will do it, everybody. I will be back again, as I said, tomorrow for a new episode of The War on Truth. But if not, if you don't hear from me and you're not interested in that, then you will hear from me maybe on Monday, but more likely on Tuesday for the Raw review. So looking forward to it, and everybody enjoy their night or their day, and I will talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.